welcome back to the Daily Journal's Prep Focus on Football. I'm your host, Tim Ahrens. With me, as always, the man, the myth, the legend, the authority on high school football in the state of Illinois, Steve Soucie. And I have to add, the TV star. You got the call this week.
Yep, I did get the call. Apparently the people at Comcast Sports don't care about looks, personality, or sense of humor because they're bringing me back.
They are. Okay, then that's going to be on Saturday, October 26th, playoff pairing show, starring Steve Soucie.
From 8 to 10 p.m. Tune in if you dare. HD cameras pointed at this handsome-looking fella for 2 hours straight.
You played this last year into a starring role in Magic Mike 2. And now I've heard that you might be getting a Nickelodeon Christmas special, Seuss the Button-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, geez, that's just completely uncalled for. I'm not even going to comment on that.
That's an inside joke,
Yep.
but it's funny. Somebody will laugh at it.
Yep.
So, okay, hey, we should probably get going. We have 13 games we gotta take care of, and I think both of us are noticeably shivering out here at Central High School, where the Comets are behind us practicing. They're not cold, but we're cold. So
we're going to talk.
We're going to talk fast.
Yeah.
Let's go with LincolnWay North at Bradley, first of all.
Important game for Bradley here. Another tough conference match with LincolnWay North. LincolnWay North 6-1, picked up their first loss last week. Got a really good running back in Julian Hilt. Bradley needs to get a win in one of these last two games. With 5 wins, they're not assured of a playoff berth with just 5. So it would be good for the Boilermakers to pick up a win here or against Andrew next week, preferably both weeks, because then maybe they'd have a shot at a home game. That being said, I'm going to go with LincolnWay North.
Oh, we're going to agree. I'm taking LincolnWay North as well, and I got to start making up some ground here. I'm 6 back, so I got to try and find some games I can win here. McNamara against Leo. Leo's unbeaten, right?
Leo is unbeaten coming into this game. They haven't quite played the strength of schedule, obviously, that Bishop McNamara has, but they do have some talent on that team. Their running back, Theo Hopkins, is a good one. And this will be a challenge for the Fighting Irish. They're banged up with injuries right now. Lost another good player last week in Bryce Clark. They have to figure out a way to patch some gaps in their defensive unit particularly. But I do think they will have enough to get a victory in this one, get themselves that 5th win, and lock up that playoff berth. I'm taking Bishop McNamara.
I likewise will go with the Fighting Irish, or Fightin' Irish, I guess would be the correct pronunciation. Kankakee, boy, they struggled last week at Rich East. Does that hurt their playoff chances? They play Rich Central this week.
That was extremely damaging to Kankakee with their playoff chances. They have an undefeated Rich Central team this week, and they follow that up with a game against a pretty good Pontiac team, and now they have to win both of them. Before the Rich East game, it was believed they'd have to win 1 of 2, and they'd probably be in. So that's going to be a tough mountain for them to climb. The Olympians are having a good year, and they're a good football team, and I'm taking Rich Central.
I also will go with Rich Central here. Now let's move to the Sangamon Valley, where we're here in Central, and they will actually be down in Watseka this weekend to play the Warriors.
Yeah, this is a rivalry game, one of those games where you always like to say that you can throw out the records here, and for Watseka's sake, you kind of want to throw out the record here. Central undefeated on the season, Watseka sitting at 1-6. Obviously, it's a game where they can, where Central looks to keep rolling along here, keep themselves in position to get a really high seed in the Class 2A playoffs, and Watseka is probably in trouble in this one, and I'm going to take Central.
I will also take Central. PaxtonBuckleyLoda goes to Moments, and Moments kind of needs this one for playoff purposes too, right?
This is a pivotal game for Moments. I mean, they closed the season with Central, and obviously they'll be a big underdog in that one. And 5 wins isn't going to be enough for Moments. They're 5-2 right now, so they kind of need this win over Paxton to get themselves to the 6-win level and clinch that playoff berth and get the Redskins into that 2A field. I think they're going to get it done, though. They're playing pretty good football right now, and I'm going to take Moments.
Yep, I'm going to go with Moments as well. And staying in the Sangamon Valley, Iroquois West goes down to Champaign for St. Thomas More.
Yeah, St. Thomas More picked up a big win last week for their playoff hopes, and they're hoping to keep that momentum going. Iroquois West has shown some flashes here in the second half, but I think St. Thomas has got a little bit too much for him. I'm going to take St. Thomas.
We'll go with St. Thomas here as well. Coal City now, we're going to move over to the Interstate 8. Coal City at Westmont?
Yeah, this is a game situation for Coal City. They now need to win out to even give themselves a chance. Their playoff point situation is pretty poor, so they're going to need some help. Even if they do get those 2 victories, I think they will start with 1 here, though, and they'll pick up a win over Westmont. I'm taking Coal City.
I'll take Coal City as well. And just to touch on real quick so people know what we're talking about, to get into the playoffs, you need to win your conference or have 6 wins. You can also get in with 5 if your playoff points are good enough. And playoff points basically is just your opponent's wins added together.
That's correct.
And you're kind of looking at 38, 39 being the...
38, 39 is the level, and I mean Coal City right now has less than 30 points, for example, and mathematically it's almost impossible for them to get to 40. So, and that would be security. They're not going to get to 40. They'll probably end up around 37 or 38, which means they'll need some help on the final week of the season to get in if they get those 2 wins.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that for people who may not know. We both took Coal City there, and now let's move on to Sandwich at Reed Custer.
Yeah, Sandwich is still in the playoff hunt. Reed Custer has dropped out now with a 2-5 record. They can't get in. This actually should be a pretty good football game, though. Reed Custer has done a nice job this year. They just haven't caught a lot of breaks. That being said, I think Sandwich has got a little bit more to play for here, and I'm going to take Sandwich.
I'll also go with Sandwich here. Contrasting styles, though. Reed Custer likes to throw, and so who knows?
Sandwich doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah. Well, Herscher at Seneca.
Herscher at Seneca. Herscher has been up and down this season, and Seneca is having one of their better years in recent memory. I think Seneca has got themselves in a nice position. They should be on their way into the playoffs in a pretty good spot. And in that sense, I'm going to take Seneca.
I will also take Seneca. I can't gain any ground this week. It
No?
doesn't look like it. So, Manteno at Dwight.
Manteno at Dwight. Obviously, Dwight's struggling, and Manteno is another one of those teams that needs to win out just to give themselves a chance. This looks like a win for Manteno here. Week 9 against Seneca will be a lot more difficult, but for the Panthers to have any chance, it's got to start here, and I'm going to take Manteno.
I will also take Manteno. One of our team that has clinched a berth, Piatone, will go to Lyle.
Piatone's on a nice little roll here. They're getting some really good defensive play. We visited with Coach Spang last week. They like where they're at, and there's good reason for that. I think Piatone's going to pick up a victory here and inch closer to locking up a home game in the first round of the Class 4A playoffs.
Okay, I'll take Piatone as well. Probably the game of the week in the Interstate 8, Plano at Wilmington.
Yeah, this should be a really good one. Plano is a pretty talented football team. They got to go into the lion's mouth, though, over there at Wilmington. It's always tough for everyone to play there. Wilmington trying to protect that #1 ranking, keep that undefeated record intact. This is important for both sides. Plano's trying to secure themselves a home game in the opening round of the playoffs, and they would do that with a win here. Wilmington has a really good shot at a #1 seed in the northern bracket of 3A right now, and obviously that has many benefits and advantages to getting there.
Sure.
I've learned my lesson from earlier this season. I'm not going to pick against Wilmington, and I'm taking the Wildcats.
Well, I'm glad to see that you learned a lesson, at least in that loss that you took in week 1.
Yeah.
Which I failed to remind you about last week, so maybe
that's fine.
I'll remind you
can,
twice.
And I failed to remind you that you're trailing by 6 games. So
No,
you
didn't.
Right
You didn't fail to remind.
Yeah.
In fact, I even mentioned it myself.
Yeah.
So you're taking Wilmington. I'll take Wilmington as well, and then we go to the Vermilion Valley. Milford at Oakwood, Potomac, Armstrong. There's a lot of schools that co-op with them, but it's basically Oakwood.
Yeah, so it's basically Oakwood, and Oakwood's struggling this year. Milford, yet another one of those teams that needs to win out to get themselves a chance on playoff night. Their points are not very good either. A little bit better than a few of the other teams that we've mentioned so far tonight, but they're still going to need some help. I don't think they'll have any trouble picking up a win here. I don't think they'll have any trouble next week either against Hoopson, who's winless. So I'm going to go with the Bearcats.
Okay, I'll take Milford as well. Do they get the points still because they played at Indiana school last week, Attica? They still get points for that?
They get Attica for 9 weeks of their season, and since they start a week earlier than we do, the points accumulated by Attica will cut off after this week.
Okay. All right, so that clears that up. You went with Milford. I went with Milford,
Yep.
too, so we have all the same picks this week. I can't gain a game on you this week.
Well, that was part of the plan.
I know,
Yep.
I know. Okay, well, that's going to wrap up the pick portion of our show. That's kind of tough to say, pick portion of the show. We're going to bring on Central football coach Brian Spooner and talk to him and see what the Comets' mood is going into the postseason.
Coach, seems like things are rolling along pretty well for you right now.
Yeah, really well. Been pretty lucky, stay away from injury, and kids have been playing hard. We've been able to have a lot of big plays on offense and defense, and that really seems like it gives us enough momentum since the beginning of the season to get 7-0. So I'm happy with where we are now, but we still got a lot of room to work and improve between now and the end of the season.
It doesn't look like you've had to combat looking ahead too far at this point. It seems like your kids are keeping your focus pretty well.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think, there's been some lapses. We had one last week. We scored the first 2 possessions against IW, and then they ended up picking the ball on our 3rd possession. But, I thought we bounced back pretty well defensively. They rallied and got us the ball back, and I think our 4th possession, I think we scored again. So it was nice to see us overcome a little adversity there, which I think we've done a pretty good job of all year. Our defense has played outstanding all year and put us in really good positions offensively, and I think that's been a huge key right there.
I understand through the grapevine I'm hearing there might be some challenging to your offensive coordinator responsibilities around here. Can you tell me a little bit about that program and what happens there?
Well, every spring our booster club has what they call casino night, a big night of Vegas-style games, and there's a bunch of silent auctions. And the last 2 years our silent auction has been coached for a week. And the first year, J.R. Casberry's dad, John, was a winning bidder. And he got to coach against Paris that week. They get to come to practice all week. They get to come to our coaches meeting on Sunday night and in our coaches meal. And he designed a play, and actually I think his son designed it, or he found it somewhere on the back of a box of cereal. I'm not sure. But we ran the play at the end of the first half against Paris, and it scored. This year was Michelle Bishop, and Michelle was our winning bidder. She came to practice every day, got to come to the coaches meetings. And her play was a double reverse. We scored on the 3rd play of the game, and so we've been doing that now for 2 years. And I think it was pretty exciting. I think once they saw that play, and they're like, "Well, we've never run that before." Well, you got to give credit to Michelle for that. That was her design. I didn't have to help her come up with it. She said she wanted her favorite 3 players to touch the ball, and they all 3 did, and it worked. So we're 2 for 2 on the Coach for the Week play. It's a good fundraiser, and our booster club does a great job in that casino night, raising money for our athletics. So, it's beneficial all around.
I understand you'll be joining me on the IHSA television football playoff pairing night. I won't throw you any too difficult questions on air there, buddy.
I appreciate that. How nervous I get on that pairings night.
Well, best of luck the rest of the way, and hopefully a quality postseason run for you again this year.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. And Soucie, who was the player of the week for Week 7?
Speaking of the tone, we're here in Central, and I'm going to go with Central quarterback J.R. Casberry, who continues to have a strong season for the Comets, threw 4 touchdown passes last week, and is up to 25 for the season, I believe. So he's having a very nice year here in his senior campaign with the Comets, and obviously they're hoping that continues for quite a few more weeks.
Okay. Where are you going to be this weekend?
This weekend I've got that Bradley Bourbonnais LincolnWay North game, so I'm looking forward to that one. That should resolve a lot of things in regards to the playoff chase.
Well, we'll know more next week, certainly going in. We'll be able to highlight a few of those games that are really necessary next week. And what else do we have to talk about now? We've covered it all, haven't we?
Yeah, I think we've got it all.
Okay, well, we'll just stand here and shiver a little bit, and then I don't know. So, okay, that's going to wrap it up. Be sure to grab Thursday's edition of the Daily Journal. In the sports section, you'll find the prep focus on football. You'll find picks. You'll find capsules. You'll find a notebook. You'll find weekly stat leaders. You'll find just about anything you want if you're a high school football fan. So, all right, so for the authority, for our videographer, Nicole Leonhardt, and from Tim Ahrens, we'll see you on the sideline.